Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Unified Proving Ground Circuit Qualifier here. We are ready, getting into our semi-finals here to figure out who is going to be punching their ticket into the finals for tomorrow. My name is Travesty. I am joined here with my analyst, Smats, and we got some special guests here. We got Vacant coming in here straight out the jungle roll, ready to give us the hard-hitting analysis. And we also have a returning guest, Qualifier. Gentlemen, it's looking fantastic. Smats, how are you feeling? Let's start with you. We're going to go down the line here.
Yeah, I'm good. It's been a long week. We had a lock-in finish up, another week of Academy. So, I had some stuff to do between the last week and now, but I was just waiting to see who was going to make it to the finals. And then tomorrow we get to see who's actually going to win the whole thing for this qualifier, to see who's got the front runner bonus for Proving Grounds. I think it's going to be a really exciting week.
Are you sharing that excitement, Bacon? How are you
Oh,
feeling going in?
absolutely. I'm excited to be here. We got some great series lined up for today. Definitely going to be exciting to see how both these play out in these BO3s. And then I'll actually even be more excited than watch the finals to see the two competing off after today's wins.
Qualifier, are you still bringing that wholesome energy? That's what I need to know right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna try my best today. We'll see. We'll see exactly how these matchups are gonna play. We got some analysis ready for that, obviously. But yeah, I'm definitely excited. I do personally believe that these early tournaments at the very beginning of the season are always the most chaotic and the most fun, and it feels really like anything can happen before the top teams settle into their positions and start just beating everyone consistently, and you can tell who's gonna win just by their ranking, right? So I'm definitely looking forward to these games.
Sounds like you might have a little bit of history with the chaos there, Qualifier. It's a little personal. Going into this, I want to go ahead and throw it over to our bracket before we start talking about the teams and look at how their journey got here. As we see everything going across, we have 100 Thieves Nets and Winthrop here for our first series. Afterwards, Golden Guardians Academy and Immortals. And you can see all these teams are very much so stacked, and what a phenomenal road, and it looks like it was a very hard journey for a lot of these teams, especially.
Yeah. I don't want to take anything away from Winthrop, but to say that this is like what we expected is completely against what everyone thought was going to happen from the get-go. Winthrop making it the top 4 is such a huge accomplishment for them. You just got to hear Grapes talk about it in the Fruit for Thought as well. They were 14th seed in the overall group stage of the tournament out of 16 teams. So to make it all the way up here is a really, really big feat. Everyone else, 100 Thieves, Golden Guardians, and Immortals, I believe, were 1 through 3, correct? Or maybe they were 1 through 4. Either way, not too surprising that they're here. All LCS-backed teams, even one of them Academy. So for Winthrop making it all the way to this is already a feat. It's going to be a fun series for them.
Sounds fun. I'm excited for fun. I like fun. Bacon, when it comes down to fun, are you feeling the fun? Are you feeling that positive energy? Is it vibing through you right now? Are you in that believer's court right now?
For today's games, I'd say absolutely. We're gonna have like a lot of fun games here. I definitely think one of the matchups is probably more even than the other, but I'd be surprised to say if like these were boring games.
Excitement is on everybody's mind here as we have these matchups here in front of us for today. As you can see, yet again, as we were talking about, 100 Thieves Nets, Winthrop are going to be our first matchup on the day. The matchup that I don't think many people would have saw coming, like Smats was alluding to before. And then on the other side, Golden Guardians Academy taking on Immortals AOE. So like you said, the fun is here all day long on the Academy channel. Qualifier, you're no stranger to success in terms of these events. Maybe more so, not at the very beginning, but you've been able to do some fun stuff inside of it. You've made yourself into the finals. How is the semifinals weighing on these teams here? Is this a nervous moment for these teams leading up into the moment?
I think it really is, going back to, this is the very first big tournament for these Proving Grounds qualifiers. And there's a lot riding on it, it's momentum for the rest of your season, for, like we said, Winthrop, it's great that they've got here. Imagine how amazing it would be if they were able to defeat the tournament favorites, 100 Thieves Next, and keep moving on. And, from the reverse side, 100 Thieves Next they're here to say, this is our tournament. This is our Proving Grounds. We are the best team here. We're going to continue to prove we're the best team here. But you have to start by winning the first tournament in order to be able to prove that, right? So there's definitely a lot riding on it, especially on this first matchup, even on the second matchup too, right? Golden Guardians Academy trying to prove, we're an academy team here playing with these amateur teams. We got to prove how good we are. And same thing, Immortals AoE being another LCS backdoor, looking to prove themselves. So it's definitely going to be super exciting. Definitely a lot of pressure on these teams. But right now, I'm pretty sure all they're thinking about is just making it to finals. So.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, notably as well with how the Proving Grounds structure works, just placing higher and higher in the tournament does matter quite a bit for qualifying for Proving Grounds at the end of spring. So I believe getting all the way up to semis is already putting yourselves well ahead of the pack. There are only 2 qualifying tournaments, so getting to here already is a really, really big deal. If they can get even further, then it's only going to do more to solidify them making it all the way.
And a player whose stocks have been rising to infinity and beyond in that regard has been General Sniper. And we want to go ahead and take a moment to look at this top lane matchup here. Bacon, I've heard that you've been a bit of a stan here, liking their Sniper matchup here. We do have a little bit of a mitts up on the EGP over there. That is not the person that they're going against here, but we are going to see Sniper inside of this matchup and see exactly what they have in store for us.
That's General Sniper's my boy. Like, I'd coach that man back to his first Twitch Rivals win. Like, he's just going to take 100 Thieves Next all the way. I don't even think it's going to be, like, a matter of looking much more else than through top lane in this series.
I have to...
proven. Yeah.
I have to ask, what's the Vacant coaching look like? Is it like Rocky? Like...
Oh, I got people on straight regimens, man. They're waking up at 6 a.m. They're going on their daily jogs. They're climbing up the stairs, like they're on the full Rocky grind.
Okay, they're going
very
into
athletic
the locker.
training.
Yeah. Hey, healthy.
Hey, healthy body, healthy mind.
Yeah,
Nice.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. And hey, look, we got some healthy players over here, and somebody who's been very impressive on the other side of this. You got to look at the competition for 100 Thieves Sniper here. You got my bud over here in the top side of the match, who has been making a good name for himself as well over inside of the top lane. Fire, how are you put bud into this?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at these stats, you might be like, oh, well, Sniper's just ahead in everything. He's just going to be the better player. He's going to smurf it. And, that might be the case. But Mabud has really solid stats here. Sniper is played to a lot, which is why he has an incredibly high KP. But Mabud also has an incredibly high KP for a top laner. Their damage per number stats aren't that different. And, the CS per minute, I must admit, Sniper is kind of going crazy over there with 9 CS per minute. But even, but Mabud, still managing to have these high CS per minute when, they've had some tough matchups. They've had a tougher road to get here. It's definitely, like, you can tell that, one team, one player definitely has the slight edge here. But it's not going to be the end of the world. I'm as much of a fan of Sniper as anybody else. I got to play with his brother, Viper, right, last year. So definitely going to be rooting for him. But, it's always exciting when you have, like, these big upcoming players, right? Like, they got to show off against everybody, right? Like, yeah. Sniper, I'm sure Sniper wants to play against, the best of the best. But you got to be able to play against, the players like Mabud here, who's also trying to prove himself. So.
I feel like there might be a slight bit of bias that I'm starting to hear here. I got the coach and I got the friend of the brother over here on my desk.
Well, you know what, Travesty? Mabud has been playing tanks, so that's probably why his numbers are a little bit lower. Because Sniper hasn't played a single tank yet. We gotta throw Mabud a little bit of a bone there.
And you gotta take that into account, though, of like how important it is to be able to play like an anchor role, especially against a player that's played to, right? Like if you think about it, it's gonna be pretty on Mabud to actually be able to anchor down top lane against a player like Sniper and make sure that they don't get to take away the series through him. So it'll be pretty impressive to see how the stats pan out.
And it could be something that really vets him. As I want to throw it over to a very interesting graphic where we have Winthrop, the team who has a player who can confuse you when they lock in a champion named Vets. We got Array taking on Vets here, which Array's KDA immediately scares me. But Smats, how are you feeling on this?
So it's no secret that Array's been smurfing it this year and last year as well. He was the main carry for us by the end for Resolve, his previous team, where he also did play with Fnatic, the jungler currently for 100 Thieves Next. Array, his KDA speaks for itself there. He's been doing a phenomenal job, and he has been holding it down. Not the main carry on this team, as we already mentioned Sniper, but still a very solid one on the squad too. Vex, on the other hand, has been playing things like the Ezreal and the Jhin. Not really the main carry on his team either, but you can see the difference in the damage, and you can see a lot of promise in the way that Vex is playing from the eye test as well. If you watch these games, his skill shot accuracy is top-notch, and he's playing these team fights really well from a utility role. I've been very pleasantly surprised by Vex's improvement specifically, and stepping in to the shoes of Saskia, the previous AD carry for this team. It's a really big jump. So for Vex to be able to do that and bring this team to this big level of success is really impressive.
Do you think that it might be Array being a bit of a KDA player though? Because you said it. Hey, look, you said it. They playing similar champions, Mats. Hold on.
Maybe he's in these situations where Sniper is usually the target from everyone's attention, early game and in the team fights as well. He's playing these fighters, so I think that definitely has something to do with it. But you can't really blame the guy for not dying very often. That's a good thing for an AD carry, right? So
yeah. Fire, you bring the wholesome energy. How are you feeling? You saw that graphic. You see Vets. You see this young talent coming up through the collegiate scene. He's going against Array, somebody who you've seen and competed so many times. You've seen this person so many different times. How are you feeling?
Yeah, so when I first saw that graphic, obviously, right, the KDA did jump out to me. I was like, wow, Ray's got this huge KDA. But then it did remind me of, Value, who I was playing with last year, right? Again, we would play towards top all the time. He would get placed on more of these chill picks, and then he would just pick up like 15 assists in a game and die 0 times, and his KDA would be infinite, right? Whereas you look at a player like Vex, his KDA is a bit lower, but his damage per minute is so insanely high. Like anything above 600 is pretty incredible. And so I'm really going to be looking forward to see if he can continue to push that and maybe sort of force Array out of that just comfort zone where he's just sitting back and, just having a chill time. And I think that could be one of Winthrop's main win conditions in this series.
And it could be very fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly what the idea could be here. We have the rosters here to see the rest of the lineup vacant. Are you looking at something in particular inside of this? Is there somebody else inside of this? We've seen 2 graphics. Is there a player that you're keeping your eye out, a role in particular?
I'd say probably draw some attention towards the mid lane matchup in particular. Seeing Insanity as such a veteran player with a lot of experience against Ivano who's definitely can hold his own, but definitely less experience as a whole. It's gonna be interesting to see how both teams are able to play through mid and then control the rest of the map. And I think it's definitely on 100 Thieves' edge to secure that pressure and then use that to influence the matchups we just talked about. Right, we got to think about the matchups outside of just the one-on-one between the players and more dissect about how the teams are actually going to be looked at playing the map and then distributing those resources.
And for me personally, I'm going to throw my opinion out there. Keep my eyes in the jungle because Mordio has been putting everybody on their behind with his Kha'Zix. All right, I got to give a big shout out to that because assassin junglers have been something that have been very interesting. I want to bring up an interesting statistic inside of this. 100 Thieves Nets, the only time that they have lost a game inside of this entire thing, not a series, they are undefeated in series still, but they lost one game against Team Ambition as soon as it went into group stage to the assassin jungle chaos that was going on. You think that might be an edge that Winthrop might be looking to utilize here? Smats.
That's definitely something to keep in mind. Winthrop has a lot of weird comfort pick champions in jungle and mid lane as well. Ivano's playing some assassins like the Echo a lot. So it's going to be on 100 Thieves to try to ban out all the ones that they think are really big problems. And because you only get 3 bans in the first phase, you have to come with strategies to defeat the ones that are unbanned. And that's going to be something that's going to be really difficult because when we saw the matchup last week where Winthrop beat Wildcard, they actually did have significantly better drafts than Wildcard, in my opinion. I think they were actually doing a really good job in that series of getting the upper hand before the game even began. Something the 100 Thieves also have to look out for. It's going to be a really fun draft compared to a lot of the other series that we've seen so far. I think this one's the most important.
I'd agree with that. I
Gentlemen.
definitely say it's probably going to be more on Winthrop to find that niche in a draft to give them an edge over 100 Thieves, whereas 100 Thieves are going to be a lot more like core to tried and true to what their stride is. So it's going to be interesting to see how they look to outplay them in a draft situation.
Well, gentlemen, we need to talk about something very dear to my heart. It's my favorite. It's time to look at the caster predictions here. I want to see exactly what these players have. I already have it. Look at Eric over there with the Winthrop. His heart is thropping over there.
God damn. There's a stacked, definitely on the very edge there.
Yeah.
An outlier to say the least.
Okay, the most important thing to me is to see who can actually win from here, because we only have 3 series left. Obviously, Orbital is in the lead. RMC is right on his tail, though. So if RMC ends up getting the Immortals prediction right, they'll be tied. Assuming the 100 Thieves win, of course. Actually, you know what? They'll be tied anyway, because they'll have both gotten that one wrong. So
Yeah.
that's going to be an interesting one. DJ can't get ahead of Orbital because they predicted the same thing. I think RMC is the only one who has a chance to pull up into first place as well from this. So that'll be one to watch out for him.
So I'm going to ask my desk real quick. Is your heart throbbing or has it been stolen here?
I'm going 100 Thieves. I think 100 Thieves are going to probably 2-0 today and 3-0 tomorrow. Those guys look really good. So I'm going.
We don't even know who they're going against yet, Smash.
I know. I'll stick to it tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I think I said to bet something similar to that. Not gonna lie, I think 100 Thieves should easily be able to close out today's series. And then, hey, I'm gonna ride that momentum into tomorrow, bro. If they smurf it today, they're gonna smurf it tomorrow.
Fire, are you in agreement with this?
I think I got a lot of respect for Insanity. I have a lot of respect for Sniper, for Fnatic. These players who I've seen forever and played with and against for so many years. I definitely have to go with 100 Thieves next. I do think this series is like a very important like bellwether for how the matches tomorrow will be going. I think if they can really show up, have 2 quick, clean games, then yeah, I'm pretty confident they'll be able to 3-0 whoever they face tomorrow. But if there's even a little bit of problems here or there, if Winthrop is able to, find some chinks in the armor, then I think the series tomorrow, even if 100 Thieves next still does win, could be super exciting.
Okay, well, 100 Thieves Nets, they might need to rebrand to Phantom Thieves because they're still in everybody's hearts, it sounds like here. That being said, who's got your heart stolen? Let us know on Twitter. You can use #WeAreUnified. Let us know who your player to watch out for inside this series is. Do you share the sentiment that Thieves are just going to run everything from today to tomorrow? Or are you looking to see who the spoiler is? Let us know. Let us know with using #WeAreUnified or #DropsOut, whichever one you prefer, to let us know what your prediction is. But with that being said, I believe, gentlemen, we are ready to get into our first game inside this series. We've got Winthrop, we got 100 Thieves Nets, we got our broadcast crew ready to go. Take it on away.
Thank you so much, Travesty. Oh my God, Beatdown, we're doing it again. And not only are we doing it again, but it's the playoffs, baby, right? This is what we've been preparing for, and we're setting the stage for what we're going to see tomorrow. So I'm going to be your play-by-play, Jolly, and joined by the wonderful, I think I got it this time, dang it. This way.
It's always the opposite way. You gotta see. I just did it now. You have to do this.
My brain just it opposites the opposite. So Beatdown, how are we feeling today? We're starting off with a banger match, man.
Really excited for this one. Winthrop definitely, I think Smack said on the desk, surprising us with the results. It's welcome nonetheless, and now we're going to see how they look going against 100 next. One of the favorites of the whole tournament, Jolly. And the thing that's most interesting too, I think Qualifier talked about it, this is going to be very telling for 100 Thieves, who are, I mean, let's be honest, they're kind of the favorites going into today, and if they actually can perform very well, then it will kind of give us that idea about whether or not they'll actually be able to face whoever is the winner of GGA and IMT later on. It's gonna be GGA, just saying.
All right. Well, we already saw your predictions, Beatdown. Okay, we already
exactly.
decided with, and we also know that you and I made the same predictions for the day. That is the case for a lot of the casters, a lot of people on the desk here. But you know what? Starting off pretty standard with these bans, we're looking at the Corki and the Victor and the Xin Zhao, of course, trying to get Insanity off of some of these comfort picks, and not just comfort picks, but incredibly strong ones that really have very few counters. And all right, All right, we've seen this once before, Beatdown. I think we saw this last week, the Lulu first pick. Did it work out?
It's tough. See, like
It did not work out.
Yeah, look, we literally talked about this going into this literally this series like 1 minute
30
ago.
seconds ago, yeah.
Yeah, no cap. Because I was saying how I would rather have seen Kenji, especially with the Thresh being up. I would much rather have them first pick that, just because we're already seeing it. Donbray on the Nautilus. The dude's been playing it all tournament. He's making it look insane. And you sacrifice a lot of, one, laning power, two, early game agency by putting Kenji on something like the Lulu. He's not going to be able to do much in this early game. That's going to be a problem when you look at 100 Next and how they play these first few minutes of the game. You have Fnatic, insane when he's playing things like the Xin Zhao, the Trundle, Lee Sin, whatever is helping his team in the early game. And Donbray is really good at moving around the map in the early minutes as well, having that impact. So Winthrop already going to be in a little bit tougher of a spot, I think, with the draft that they're going for here. They can play it well, and Lulu is going to be really nice later on into the game because, you know, path growth, shielding, that's all nice and good. But we got to get there.
All right, you know, the Lee Sin is great, right? We've been seeing a little bit less of that, a little bit more focus on things like the Jarvan, like the Xin Zhao, like the Viego that has been locked in here, because you've got early game viability and also potentially playing from behind late game viability, which I think is really, really important in the current meta, because we do know that Fnatic is going to be engaging the second he hits level 3. He just has to decide kind of who he wants to put some pressure on. And as was talked about in the pre-show, their sniper is probably the one that Winthrop is going to want to shut down early on. It puts a lot of pressure onto Mabud up there in the top side. And this is already, I mean, just a very comfortable setup that we're seeing here for 100 Thieves that they've locked in. Getting a Ray on someone really powerful, really strong in the meta right now. Jinx absolutely provides that. Getting Donbray on what we've seen him honestly play most and most successfully on throughout this tournament is the Nautilus. So you're absolutely right, Beatdown. I mean, not only were we talking about Enchantresses probably not working out super well, but we know how difficult it is for Lulu in the early parts. And if Lulu gets shut down, sure, she's still a utility bot, but she needs to get in very close to utilize that. And so it's kind of scary just, I don't know, anticipating how this early game might go if there's a little bit of early pressure coming from 100 Thieves, which we absolutely expect.
Yeah, and it's tough too because you get 100 Thieves do a really good job taking away these mid lane options for Ivano that would pair really well for the Lee Sin, allow them to have more of an impact in the early game. Strong mid jungle 2v2 is what I wanted from Winthrop, and it was a point that I was going to go towards, but it's tough. You're running out of options now because of what 100 Thieves have managed to pinch away. And on Winthrop's side, it makes sense, like you said, they want to alleviate as much pressure as possible. Top lane, you imagine Sniper's going to get that last pick on 100 Next side, so you just want to get rid of anything that might, one, ruin Mabud in lane and out of it as well. The Twisted Fate for Insanity is a really nice pick as well, just because we talk about playmaking. As soon as you get that Destiny at level 6, this dude's going to be all over the map. And when you think about what's left for the setup, like maybe we'll see Winthrop go Silas just to be able to match those roams, kind of give a bit of dive and engage for that Lee Sin, because that's also something they're startily lacking in. And you have to imagine what's going to be left for them on the top side of the map too. Maybe they could give Mabud something like, okay, I was thinking Camille. I think Tom Kench is okay as well, and we'll see if they actually want to give up on that Silas.
Yeah, Tom Kench is, you know, when you're looking at anticipating counter picks from somebody like Sniper, Tom Kench is one of the safer options, right? He's got a lot of survivability. You have the Abyssal Dive. You have some ways to navigate throughout the map, as well as, you know, utilizing that teleport as early on as possible, because we know that Sniper is absolutely known for that, and including the Destiny's Gate, man, including the fact that we know that Donbray is a massive roamer in the early parts of things, and that Array is also more than capable of, you know, just kind of hanging down in the bottom lane, even when there's a lot of pressure, particularly when there's a lot of pressure, to be honest. And yes, the Silas is going to be the lock-in here. We've seen it do well into the Twisted Fate in the past. There's a lot of great ultimates as well that we can see are on the side of 100 Thieves that Ivano is going to have access to. But, you know, it's still the early parts of this game that are kind of worrisome for me, at least for Winthrop's selection. I like the survivability that they add to the top side, but other than that, you know, they have initiation, not nearly as much, especially with the Akali lock-in, not nearly as much engage and initiation as you got on her Thieves, at least in terms of like a safe sense, right? Something that you can navigate away from if you need to.
Yeah, when you think about what Winthrop have in terms of CC, yeah, sure, you give yourself a pretty solid frontliner with the Tom Kench, with how tanky he's going to be, but if you look at the rest of here, not very much hard CC. I think it actually sets up this Akali pick for Sniper very well. He can go in, especially with this tank build that's still going to be good since we're on 12 0.1, it means that, I mean, for the most part, Sniper is going to be just fine jumping into the middle of these team fights, being able to do a lot of work. I believe it was 2 weeks ago where we saw Sniper play the Akali, and Jolly, he did some not okay things, some nasty things.
Yes. I mean, we saw some of the replays. I think maybe it was, I don't know if it was during the interview. I think maybe it was during Fruit for Thought by Grapes. We saw a couple of those plays coming out of Sniper on the Akali. I mean, including every single member of the team trying to get in it. It wasn't until you got a pinch by the last 2 surviving members where Sniper was invading the enemy jungle to continue to chase out the enemy and got 3 kills within that, right? A double kill up on the top. Now against the enemy jungle, sure ends up dying, but Sniper's totally okay with that because his KD also, I mean, I think we saw the stats in that as well. I mean, his KD is absolutely insane from start to finish of the game. So even if he puts himself in dangerous positions, it's when he's way, way far ahead already. And the rest of the team's like, go ahead, unleash yourself, Sniper. Do what you want to do. If you die, we'll come back after your gray screen. If not, excellent. That's what we anticipate to come out of a player like you. So, man, I really like what 100 Thieves is drafting into this. We have seen so much of this exact same setup work so well for them. On the other side with Winthrop, I'm a little shaky. I'm not going to lie here, Beatdown.
I mean, I'd be shaking too if I was a fan of Winthrop, if I voted for their win. I don't think anyone on the broadcast desk ended up going for that. Yeah. But I mean, it's tough too when you look at this draft. I think because especially with that Enchanter pick going for Kenji on that bot side of the map, a lot of pressure is going to be on Mordio in the earlier parts of the game. I mean, like, where are you realistically going? Who else is going to have this early game power? Vano definitely needs some levels on the Silas, needs some ability haste so that you can get that Kingslayer on a lower cooldown. All of your cooldowns just a bit lower so you can actually have some of these extended fights. So for Mordio, the early jungle pathing is going to be paramount, and he's going to need to make magic happen, honestly. I mean, even though you have range and some solid damage in the later parts of the game with someone like Vex, I mean, if you fall behind, it's just going to feel so impossible with Akali jumping the back line and no one able to peel for Vex. Even with that arcane shift, it is still going to be difficult. I mean, look at the fact that Insanity is playing Twisted Fate. Those Destinies are going to come in clutch. Dawnbray, all this time, has been so good at finding engage angles for the squad. And the fact that he keeps getting Nautilus, I'm starting to feel is not okay. Because honestly, even though he's not one of the S tier supports at the moment, he definitely makes it look like it is.
Yeah, for Dawnbray, absolutely. And honestly, you know, you might say that he's not one of the S tiers. I vehemently have thought that he is, right? With the amount of crowd control that he provides, when you're comparing things like the Leona, the Thresh, the Nautilus, the ability to engage, but also the disengage capabilities from Nautilus is something that you don't get out of champions like Thresh and Leona, right? You got the Zenith Blade in, you got the Death Sentence in, but then to get out, you have to use the crowd control in your ultimate, or just the crowd control in another ability to flay them back, to throw the Q onto them, right? Whereas with someone like Nautilus, you run away, find a wall, find a tower, anything that you can grapple to, and just throw out the depth charge, right? So I really think that this is an underrated champion, and I do think that the respect should be here. And locking in the early Lulu for Kenji does not show me the respect that I was really hoping to see towards the bottom lane of 100 Thieves, because, man, even without the help of jungles, even with just being alone in the bottom lane the entirety of the game, Array still has some of the highest, I mean, one of the highest KDs in this entire competition in all of Proving Grounds.
I think a lot of that for Array too, is like as a player, is just how good he is in these team fights and how he positions himself. Because he's definitely picking up a lot of kills. You know, it's part of how you get a high KD. But if you look at his games in the matches, especially in the last couple of weeks, very few deaths. This player rarely ends up getting caught out, ends up playing in these team fights really well here for 100 Next. I mean, part of it is, of course, again, Dawnbray has been smurfing, has been doing really good at setting up these engage angles, making it so easy for him. But Array is still playing out of his mind in these fights.
And we are going to get right into it. Game number 1 between Winthrop University, our only collegiate team currently in the playoffs here, going up against the number 1 team. I think that everyone really on the casting desk can agree in 100 Thieves Next Beatdown. I am so ready for this. And you know what? Just based on what we've seen from 100 Thieves Next in the past, coming from Insanity in particular and Fnatic, I think that we are not going to have a slow game like we kind of experienced in the last couple of weeks.
Not likely. I have a feeling, especially 100 Next, going to be very active in the earlier parts of the game. I mean, both teams will be when you have Lee Sin, especially. I said in the draft, and I am still going to be looking for Mordio to have some early game impact, because I think that's going to be really important for Winthrop University here in game 1.
I think there's a lot of things that are going to be really important for Winthrop University. In game
Yeah, that's
one, right?
like number one, though.
That is true. That is a very good point. I mean, it's a lot of pressure on these both in the top. Mabud, Mordio. I mean, the two M players that we are seeing here. I think another thing to touch on too, considering the bottom lane, I guess, and the opposition in Vex, 400 Thieves next, or the opposition of 100 Thieves next, is the stat that we were looking at, right? And I think it was Fire that actually touched on it, of saying, yeah, sure, the first number that you're going to look at in the Array Vex matchup is the KDA, where it's insane for Array, like a 10.6 or something like that. But then if you look at the damage dealt, the average damage from Vex is like 600 plus per minute, which is insane. Anything over 600, what Fire said, is pretty nutty. And you had something like 620, whatever. So Vex still a very solid player. Now, Kenji and Donbray is more of the curious matchup, right, that I'm interested in, because we've seen how quickly Donbray says, all right, we're going in on this. Array says, absolutely, I'm going to follow it up. We've got the solid target acquisition that we need. And the nice thing about having an Enchantress on the other side means that you can go for either, right? Whereas if you've got somebody like a Nautilus, it's okay, even if you get a Polymorph, even if you get some crowd control on Donbray, you really don't want to go for it. You want to try to poke down damage onto Array. If you get a lockdown on Kenji, sure, go for it. And then Vex is just a follow-up.
And it's going to be quite the battle for level 2 here. You got to imagine Array and Donbray will get it first and be able to just pressure, as they are certainly the stronger in the 2v2.
There it is. Step charge followed up by that passive. That's all that needs to be applied. I'm sure Donbray has already used a bunch of pots, but that's okay. He's got a biscuit.
That's right. He's doing just fine. Biscuit delivery, all those health potions coming in clutch. And now I'm glad we're switching over to the junglers. Already level 3, both junglers looking for a play. I love this from Fnatic. Expecting the play from Mordio in transition.
Oh my goodness. The jump ball does come through to Insanity, the flash away from Ivano. Insanity does not want to have to flash, but does in the very end, and it doesn't matter because the first blood is picked up here by Mordio. Fnatic able to do a lot of damage here in response. Might be the end of that play, getting a little lockdown. Fnatic's not going to be able to do much more than that.
I mean, it was a really nice read from Fnatic, but Mordio, early damage on the Lee Sin and Ivano flashing away was a big deal as well. No trade coming through. Insanity forced to flash and TP. So already a nice play from the jungler of Winthrop, who I was saying I wanted to see some early aggression and a chance overall for a play to be made here. And you can see if Fnatic knows it's coming, but he couldn't protect Insanity from that initial burst, and that was ultimately his downfall.
Yeah, after that, I mean, Fnatic did try. You're talking about the speed, though, coming out of champions like Lee Sin and Silas in the start. Sure, maybe you need some items for Ivano. You need some levels for Ivano to feel a lot more comfortable in this, but that's not the case for Mordio. And so it was a quick reaction time. I love to see that. I mean, I was kind of on edge there, right? You see Fnatic potentially looking for a pinch right there, and Sanity just a little too far forward, right? No gold card picked up here. Ivano is very low on mana on top of it. This is a pinch opportunity once again. If Mordio does decide to do something, just a little too dangerous for Ivano at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic went for the crab and is going for his bot side jungle. So if Mordio made a play, he wouldn't have been there, but it's fine. Ivano wouldn't be able to follow up. And now he, because he's poked out a lane, has the TP back as well. So there isn't going to be much of an advantage there early on. But here we go. We're seeing Mordio again. Off the recall, already has the Iron Spike Whip because of the First Blood Gold. He's going to go for the Krugs and could potentially look for a play on this bottom side of the map if he wants to here.
There's a Vex sitting a little bit low on mana at the moment. That's fine. And they do have a little too much pressure right now, right? That's another thing that 100 Thieves Next is totally okay with, right? Falling a bit behind on creep score, especially when you got somebody like an Ezreal on the other side. Ooh, depth charge not coming through on that one. So a lot of damage just poked back onto Array and Donbray. You know, 100 Thieves Next absolutely says, yeah, I'm Array. I'm willing to fall behind on creep. Let's let them push, right? Let's give ourselves more of an opportunity here for a gank. And we are going to see it from Fnatic. Ivano also making his way down here. They don't have eyes on this player. That means that Donbray is going to be the first one to go down. Kenji takes a lot of damage, but Fnatic gets pushed away. Array will also go down, and it's going to be 3-0 in favor of Winthrop University. Beautifully done.
Jolly, I said Winthrop had to give us a good early game, and I think that's exactly what they're showing us so far. Beautiful dive coming through. 2 kills onto your Ezreal, 1 onto your Silas. It doesn't get much better than that. Getting this early gold lead, especially in this matchup where, yeah, the first few levels for Vex and Kenji are a little rough, but again, now that double range, we saw it coming in where they started to get the tower push, or the wave push rather, and set up that dive in the first place here. And we're going to see the replay. Really nicely done. Array and Donbray, they know they have to respect it, and Ivano finding this angle as well was a big deal. They thought on the side of 100 next that they could go for it. Don't realize how many people are actually here. And the juggle of turret aggro. This is perfect.
It really is so wonderfully done, especially with Vex being able to pick up that double buff on top of it right after getting that double kill. And hey, you know what? Even with the pressure, that was something that I was saying. All right, Array is like, yeah, we can play behind. It gives us more of an opportunity for a gank. But when you're shoved that far under tower, and then you see Mordio coming through, whether or not Ivano is a part of that fight, you're still kind of antsy, right? You're angsty about how things are potentially playing out. And now we're looking already at about a 2K gold lead. 6.5 minutes, that's actually quite solid here for Winthrop University. A lot of that gold, as you mentioned, going into the hands of Ivano and Vex, and that's exactly what they want from this Mordio being in the second place. Top 3 members right there. Vex getting very close to hitting that 3K gold pretty early on in the game. And man, we can see how far down Array is. This is a player who normally gets one of the highest gold ratios in the game. That's not the case starting on this one. A lot of that having to do with the communication with Mordio and Ivano.
Yeah, it's looking like Dombre and Array looking for something with that room timer with Fnatic, but weren't able to actually get anything here. So far, 100 Next haven't been able to do too much, and Dombre has actually spent a lot of time in the lane so far early on here. Even though these plays have come through, Array only finds himself down about 10 CS, but the gold, as we saw from that graph moments ago, shows a different story where how Vex, those 2 kills really put him ahead. And here's Mordio. Again, they want to push this advantage they've got for themselves here. With Kenji walking up like that, it gives you that inkling where it's like, okay, Lee's got to be here, man. We can't do anything about it.
It's all right. That means that Mordio gets to make the first move on this dragon, even recognizing that that Scuttle Crab has been picked up by 100 Thieves next. There's also the Vision Ward. Based on the fact you can see the X above the eye, you're aware that there's a Vision Ward somewhere nearby, probably in that single bush. Very popular. They're going to try to go for the steal. It's not going to be enough. Mordio able to ward hop over the wall after using the smite at the perfect moment. Winthrop is doing everything right in this game so far, beatdown.
That's right. Everything's going their way. Kills, dives, objectives, and you can see it. The gold just continues to grow here for Winthrop University. Of course, 100 next. We talk about late game. We talk about scaling. They're definitely not in the gutter just yet, but I think I like what I've been seeing from Winthrop so far, and I want to see them continue with this early game pressure here, especially now that Mordio's hit level 6 and has access to the Dragon's Rage. Could make another play mid if he wants to. Could go for yet another bot dive. I think that's part of why you're seeing Fnatic just kind of hang around a bit in the area, because he may suspect this. Yeah.
Might as well, right? Mordio's already found so much success, right? You got a level up so far down here for your bottom lane, which is where we wanted to see a lot of pressure. And something that was mentioned on the desk is just so much damage coming out of this player in Vex. And while Array has this consistency, we talked about low deaths earlier on, beatdown, a lot of damage and a high KD. The damage is actually a little lackluster considering how high his KD is in the overall for a lot of these games, how high his gold ratios tend to be. It's still about 2,000 gold, by the way, in favor of Winthrop, even though they have not picked up another kill. That's okay. They're focusing on objectives. They're focusing on pressure, and they're getting everything that they want, which I don't think 100 Thieves necessarily anticipated. Maybe a little bit of disrespect coming out of 100 Thieves where they realize, okay, yeah, we got to play top tier right now. We can't just mess around.
Certainly the case, as now we have a setup for potentially another dive, but they know Ivano and Mordio did pass a pink ward. The question is, can they actually do anything about it? They are going to be able to clear this wave. Oh, no.
That's going to do it. The teleport is coming through, but it's so much damage onto Dombre. Array will be the next target of that. Should be the WQ coming out of Ezreal. No, Mordio is going to pick up the kill. Sniper is able to make it through here using the teleport and using the ultimate, but to no avail. Both members already dead. Another 2 for 0 in favor of Winthrop.
And they don't even care about the wave, Jolly. It was all cleared up, and they just full sent it anyway. That is the nice thing about the Lulu. We talked about it, the shielding and that wild growth. They got through the laning phase, Jolly, and everything we were worried about is over now. And you can see it. Array, Dombre, they know what's coming, and they're hoping clearing the wave would be enough. But you can see it. The engage comes through. The health onto Ivano means he's just going to be able to flash his way out of this one. And even though Sniper immediately TPs to defend, ultimately, he wasn't able to actually do anything about it here.
All right. Taking a look at the tweet at the bottom here. Of course, anyone who wants their tweets to potentially come through on the show, make sure you hashtag We Are Unified so we get a little notification about that. I love the smell of 100 X's tears in the morning. It smells like victory. Well, a little Apocalypse Now kind of quote right there. I like that.
And now you're seeing Vex. I mean, good sense coming from him to walk away. Support is not in the area, and Dombre is out of vision. So his positioning is good. He's going to try and maybe pick up that cannon with the True Shot Barrage. If he did, that's got to be a good feeling. But ultimately, not as much maybe here. 2 plates in favor of Array. That is a nice little chunk of gold to kind of allow him to slightly catch up to Vex, who was just miles ahead until moments ago here. And you have Fnatic, who is on the invade on this bottom side of the map.
Essence Reaver already completed, as we can see there, right? The tier having 138 stacks on it. I mean, Vex is just feeling so comfortable. We saw how much damage that True Shot Barrage was already able to do to Array. Still just sitting on the Noon Quiver, has to finish the boots first. Never a bad option here, of course, but you know, there is, it's hard to make a decision on that one. I like to see the defensive options being picked up here by the ADCs, because you're kind of anticipating it's going to be like the Sork boots. It's going to be the, you know, cooldown reduction boots Ionian here for the mid laners. Everybody else tends to be defensive. That's not going to be the case here. Array, of course, on this Jinx, looking for the attack speed. Going to try to get a little bit of a boost in that. We'll see if the recall comes through, because a purchase would be nice here, but behind by about 15 creep score. Look at the bounties on the side of Winthrop, right? We're looking at 2-0-4, 2-0-3, 2-0-3. And this Lulu, I mean, Kenji perfectly playing the support role 0-0-5. A little bit of stun down there. Insanity's going to pop off some responding damage. Avano doesn't even care, though, because the involvement in the other lanes makes up for, you know, any lack of presence here. It is going to be Destiny's Gate coming through. The Wild Growth on to Vex right there. Avano tries to come through into the wings.
There's the stun card.
As well. Insanity gets that one. The ultimate on top here. A root down. And oh my gosh,
a triple?
So much
No way.
Triple kill, make it a quadra potentially right here for Array. It's going to be a shutdown instead for Insanity. Still, finally, 100 Thieves next finding their first successful fight of the game.
Dolly, I can't believe this. In one swift motion, 100 next catch themselves back into the game and get a triple onto a Radiating carry that we keep talking about on this Jinx. And there it is. Winthrop, the early game lead that they worked so hard for, everything they did these past 12 minutes, it's gone now. Now you can see the recall. Array has Kraken Slayer. The damage is just going to be insane. And actually, before this happened, this is kind of what I was expecting here. Fnatic walking his way down. You see the mid push coming through from Insanity and the Destiny we haven't seen used very much in a while. And there it is. The depth charge gets set up into the gold card. And at this point, like, you all saw what happened. They just get torn apart. Wild growth or no wild growth.
Mordio does come in here at the end, which is helpful, but man, the timing here for Fnatic, I mean, it was the timing for Fnatic that actually was incredible in that team fight, to be honest. The repositioning there by picking up the Soul ended up working out so dang well, and to be able to pick up somebody like Avano in the Silas, I mean, Fnatic felt absolutely okay about that one, and man, you saw Avano running away towards the latter half of that fight, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you're running past, somebody else is coming to help out, and you're like, run, 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 run. But it was too late for Mordio at that point, ended up deciding to go in with the Sonic Wave.
And wow, what was a 2,000 gold lead has been reduced to 600. Still in favor of Winthrop University, but of course, not hurting as much as they were just moments ago on the side of 100 next. Now, nothing really to play for here. You still have junglers, what look to be on this bottom side of the map, but now Dawnbrace just looking.
Woo! Max range hook coming out there. It is going to be the ultimate as well, but no follow-up. Array just a little bit too far back to make anything happen with that one. Man, the pressure that Winthrop has decided to put down on the bottom half of this map is insane, right? You want to keep punching up Vex. You want to keep Avano and Mordio ahead of their game, but those 3 shutdowns, most of them, I think, going over to Array there was massive.
Oh, here we go.
The Destiny's Gate once again coming through. The kick back by Mordio to prevent Insanity from finding the gold card on it, but that's all right. They got the assist. They got what they wanted.
Yeah, Winthrop certainly overstaying their welcome just a little bit, Joel. You gotta understand that, hey, you know what? We haven't seen that Destiny in a little while. I wonder if he has it up, and then you hear the sound. Insanity coming in clutch. I mean, I don't know what Winthrop are really hoping to get from that exchange as well. Now, the gold is pretty much even. What is it, 100 difference here in favor of Winthrop University? When we talk about the front to back, when we talk about the damage late game, this is a game state that very heavily favors 100 next. And Winthrop, Mordio, we're looking at them now to... they're going to basically have to start from scratch when it comes to trying to get themselves some leads here so they can contest with 100 next later on.
Will be the first tower going over to Winthrop. Vex still feeling pretty good in the position that they're at. It is 100 Thieves next, though, with just a little bit of responding pressure, right? That lead, that level lead that we had, the creep score lead that we had that was all entirely in favor of Vex and Kenji has kind of gone out the window here. That ultimate is going to come through. It does hit Donbray, doesn't hit Array, and the two of them are more than okay with that. But you also got to acknowledge, hey, where did Kenji go?
Yeah, let's go for some warning. You do have Insanity and Ivano trading, but ultimately, everybody's going to be fine. It's worth noting too, Insanity has, actually both mid laners do have a stopwatch. So in this next fight, probably in about less than 2 minutes time for this the third Drake of the game, rather. It's probably going to be pretty impactful for both here. And again, we have Fnatic and Mordio on this bottom side of the map, because now at this point, with Dragon coming up, not so interested in that second Rift Herald. It's just about getting vision. It's just about getting control so you can start stacking some dragons. And if you get control of this area first and force Winthrop to walk into you, because they very much want this Dragon Soul as their win con, well, I mean, 100 Next would love for you to walk into them. They would appreciate it.
They would appreciate it. I mean, yeah, appreciation is not something that either of these teams is willing to give over right now, though, right? 100 Thieves, they're going to be able to pretty quickly equalize that first tower that was picked up by Winthrop University a little bit early on. And lucky for them, even though a lot of these fights have been going in favor of 100 Thieves next, they are staunching the bleeding at least a bit. That early lead that they got for themselves, the fact that Vex is now capable of roaming around here with Kenji, offers them a lot more flexibility now coming into the second half of this game. But we have to bring up the fact that crowd control was something that you mentioned early on when we were talking about these compositions here, right? And when we're anticipating fights to be happening around things like this Rift Herald, around the next Dragon, which is probably where 100 Thieves next is going to put their focus in, so a nice move by Mordio, there's just not a lot of crowd control offered from Winthrop University. They're going to have to approach these fights so incredibly carefully.
I think Winthrop is getting this Herald is going to be pretty nice for them because they do want this Dragon. It is up in 15 seconds, so they'll be cutting it close. But ultimately, you can do that usual thing. You drop it in the mid lane, force 100 Next to either answer it or have some severe damage done to their mid turret. The thing is, I honestly think 100 Next would be happy to just go ahead and make that play make that trade for the Dragon. And that's why Mordio, you see him move top lane. Instead, they're going to, I like this. He actually is going to hold on to the Rift Herald, not even drop it yet. And he's going to save it for the tier 2, which means more gold.
That means the Sniper's going to get jumped on here. A little dash over the wall by Ivano. Nice shroud by Sniper. Breaking vision there. He's going to be able to dash away from things, and Rift Herald is going to come out in an attempt to pick up the third tower here for Winthrop. The Dragon just handed over, but they are more than okay with that. It's all about gold. It's all about pressure here for Winthrop University as Donbray moves up, maybe try to find something for himself. The passive applying to Mordio, but that should be the tower down here pretty quickly. So much damage now being applied to Donbray. No help from Sniper, who has to run away from this fight.
No TP from Insanity.
On the edges of this, trying to get somewhere. That was the shroud. The middle of the shroud is where Sniper got caught out right there. Super Mega Death Rocket just gonna barely miss. We see the opposing one coming out of Vex, so no more kills to come through, but Donbray does go down.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of trying to defend that turret. It was at no health, and ultimately, when you have someone able to tank like Tahm Kench, that play really isn't it, Jolly. So ultimately, you do get the gold, you get some kills, and we might have another fight.
Potential for responding when you get the
TP.
flash out actually from both Kenji and then Vex. Now Insanity is in a sticky situation. Finds the gold card. Pressures up
the
one
ulti?
member.
Oh,
uses
the kick!
ultimate, but gets stopped up. And when you're going up against 5 members, even Destiny can't get you out of there.
That's right, and that was a really nice punish there. Moving straight from top to the middle of the map here to punish at least one person here from the side of 100 Next. And Insanity used the TP in that last fight to get to that tier 2 that had no health, by the way. Maybe he wasn't looking, but ultimately, it's going to get Winthrop a nice amount of gold, a lot of pressure on this mid turret, even though it isn't going to necessarily get it for them here.
That's all right. Vex applies so much damage to these towers, right? Even just being able to get off one W, one auto to follow that up, I think is enough for Winthrop to say, hey, that was worth our time. We didn't lose anything in response in that one. We see Mordio trying to get a little bit more pressure here towards the top side. A little bit of a, up until that moment, it was very lackluster in terms of the top side, right? We didn't, I don't think we even had any vision of that aside from the one time Sniper came down to make a play in the bottom side of the map. Otherwise, I mean, Maba and Sniper have just kind of been duking it out up in the top. Generally something in the early parts of the game that is pretty difficult on Sniper, but hey, this is a player that knows what they are doing with the Akali. We've seen it time and time again, so has managed to just kind of stall this one out. The pressure provided by Winthrop does help this top laner. They have now about a 2,000 gold lead, but at 20 minutes in now, that's not a huge differential whatsoever. It's one fight is all it takes to turn that around.
Still, I want to praise Winthrop just for how well I think they've been playing this game so far, especially given that big fight they end up losing in the bottom lane like 8 minutes ago that evened up the lead that they originally built for themselves. They're continuing to make these smart decisions here. Okay, we can't fight for Drake. We have Herald. Let's take 2 turrets on the top side. Oh, they're going to give us kills and more gold? No problem. We take those any day of the week here. And speaking of kills, oh, they're looking for Mr. Ivano. Oh, yeah. Goodbye, sir.
Yeah, that's going to do it.
I didn't even know he was there.
Also there. We had the fog of war there, so we didn't even get to see the fact that bottom lane was there. But hey, you know what? If it's working for Winthrop to throw 4 members into one lane to pick up 1 kill, it's going to work on the other side for 100 Thieves.
Did so good too. You had that bot wave pushing, so there's no need for you to actually worry about sending someone there for the moment here. What does that mean? You can walk down as your mid laner pushes top. It's a 4 versus 5. You could threaten the Baron, but ultimately I think health bars were a little lower than 100 Next were comfortable with. So they're just going to walk away from this one. Ultimately, still positive play. You get to push this top wave very far. Someone still has to answer this bot wave as well for Winthrop. So 100 Next, again, managed to catch themselves up just a little bit with that play on the top side of the map. And you can see Winthrop really focused on trying to get this mid turret down here so they'll be able to shove out this mid wave. And with this next dragon coming up in a minute's time, that's probably going to be really important for them so they can try and set up a bit of deeper vision here. We're already seeing it.
Ooh, gonna try to steal that blue buff. It's not going to come through. The ultimate from Vex misses everybody somehow. Just goes right in between Sniper and Insanity there. 100 Thieves maybe looking to push a play here. There's a lot of vision that has been placed down by Winthrop already. We do have 2 items. We do have 2 items on Array as well. They don't know the Fnatic is there. Destiny is going to come through on top of the gold card hits. So does the Mega Death Rocket. Array is going to pick that one up. Moria with a nice little dash over to Vex. It's going to keep him in at least non-gray screen moments.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent use of the Hex Gate there from Fnatic to get that angle. No vision means it's so easy. And now Sniper putting in a little bit of damage, but ultimately it is still Tahm Kench. It's the real action is here just a little further up. 100 Next looking to push the pace. They're losing. Oh, they lost Ombre.
They did. Sniper has to re-engage on this one. That works out really well. It's a lot of damage. Mabud has a big opportunity here, but the Shroud comes through. Sniper out of here. The depth charge or the abyssal dive comes through from Mabud on the other side. Of course, 100 Thieves Next finds so many wins. It doesn't matter. Mabud is now stuck. Out comes the Heartbreaker. Mabud taking a lot of damage. Array is like, I can probably help you out here. The teleport does come through. Kenshi is on the way. No vision on that TP, but a good shot by Kenshi to get the heck out of dodge. Fnatic picking up the kill.
Yeah, really nice. It was a scrappy one, I'm not going to lie, but ultimately very heavily favoring 100 Next, not only because they get more kills in the end, but they continue to hold on to their pressure on the map here. And again, good use of the Hex Gates for this position to come through, and it's just really nice to be able to get this kill overall here. The only real problem, then 100 Next kind of split their focus just a little bit here, and this gets a little messier than we probably would have liked, but ultimately it still ends up being pretty positive. They're now at the soul point. And, yeah, you'll see what I mean. Insanity's in trouble.
Insanity's in trouble. This little pinch away, sure, we saw Dawnbray go down pretty decisively there. Vex just needed one more Q, but Sniper able to actually get out of this one alive is, you know, pretty impressive here.
Yeah, and I mean, the rest of it is just history. Like, the damage is just so strong coming out from Array, who's very confident to walk up. Actually almost kills Mordio, and you know the rest of it. Mabud gets run down very, very slowly because it's Tahm Kench, but ultimately 100 Next now are at the soul point here for the Hextech Soul. And for those who are still a little unsure, think Infernal Soul, but stronger.
Yeah, it's huge. Honestly, the Hextech Soul comes into play. And when you're already looking at a late game team who's finding some amazing plays right here as Kenji takes his too much damage, but it's Dawnbray who ends up trying to re-engage on that one and gets pulled in by Ivano. The tower goes down. Beautiful ultimate coming out from Vex is going to deal a lot of damage to Insanity and Array. We can see the Abyssal Dive being followed up here. The initiation here by Sniper. Tries to get so much damage out, but gets taken down. Mordio doesn't even get killed there. Beautiful ultimate to ensure his survival. Winthrop turned that one around in their favor.
Yeah, really nice play. Sniper going a little too deep, hoping to be able to turn things here, but oh my gosh, they're looking.
They are. The Abyssal Dive comes through for Fnatic right before that soul drops. Maybe a bit of a turnaround, but with Vex on the front line here and the amount of damage he's able to provide, you gotta run away from this.
I mean, Vex is at 3 items right now. Those Mystic shots hurt, Jolly. The damage is there, and you're starting to see it come online in some of these fights here. Earlier on when Dawnbray goes in, it's those Mystic shots that are pelting him and ripping it to shreds here. And you see the Hex Flash come through, but I think Undernext not as prepared for the giant presence in the mid lane here, and I think there might have been a disconnect on what Undernext wanted to do overall, because nobody could follow up Dawnbray here. And at this point, it is just a little bit of desperation, like, okay, can I kill Mordio? Looks like I can.
When you have Kenji and Mordio both sitting there at less than 100 health, yeah, as an Akali, it's a spicy play. You want to go in on that, but even lacking the crowd control that we were talking about, it doesn't matter because the damage is coming through right now from Winthrop.
Right, and Winthrop, I mean, this game has just been so back and forth. Winthrop doing a really good job of punishing some of the disconnects, some of the missteps here from 100 Next, and it's been what's keeping them in this game from pretty much every minute here. And Winthrop actually in a pretty solid position here. The gold lead is minimal. You can see it in how they're fighting, that they, as long as they can be the ones to initiate, have ways to really set this one up. And now we're at this point in the game where we got to look towards this Lee Sin to try and pressure Array with a play. Try and get that kick and take Array out of the fight, because this Jinx is still incredibly powerful at the moment here. And if 100 Next get to play front to back the way they want to, Array gets the free hit. That's a great spot to be in. But right now, Winthrop has started off the Baron.
Not as much damage as they probably would like, but it is a lot coming out of X here, so they're actually burning it down pretty quickly. That looks like 100 Thieves next is going for the initiation. Dawnbray with the hook takes too much damage, has to back away from this one. The ultimate as well coming out of Vex means that there's just too many low health bars, especially with Dawnbray being the one who's supposed to frontline these fights. At least they stop the Baron.
Right, and you force Winthrop off. Nothing really comes of it. No deaths, no summoners. So you just managed to walk away. It was a good look for Winthrop, and they knew when to back off, which is good. Now, though, I think part of the problem is, or what kind of, I think, got them to want to try this one out is because being able to secure the Baron in under 2 minutes time from here on out is going to be really important, just because that Dragon Soul is coming up, and they don't want to be in that tough position where it's like, okay, Dragon is up, Baron is up. If we try to fight for Soul, maybe they send most members Baron, and it is just a kind of a net negative kind of scenario, no matter how that ends up shaking out here. So Winthrop might look for another attempt pretty soon, but I think that window is very, very quickly closing, and that's why you see them focusing on this bottom side of the map, trying to set up vision, trying to apply pressure here. You can see it with getting mid priority and just committing all their members to this bottom river, because that's going to be the most important thing right now, denying the Dragon Soul.
Yeah, you really don't want to allow a late game team like 100 Thieves next to pick that up, and just the damage that comes through from Array, or from Vex. It doesn't matter how much extra range you can get when you transfer over to Pow Pow, right? When all it takes is a single Mystic shot from Vex to deal that much to Array, who also has 3.5 items right now. Man, you got to be feeling good as Winthrop University, and they want to force out the fight right here. It's going to be the root on to Mamba.
Oh my god, the damage! Can he even press it? He can't!
Comes through. He can't even use any abilities on that one. Dawnbray's gonna follow this one up. Sniper takes a lot of damage. The Mystic shot does come through. Ivano with the gold turns into a stasis right there. Flashes over the wall, beautifully done, but Dawnbray is able to follow that up with a depth charge. Ivano at least takes down Dawnbray before going down himself, and Sniper is going to be able to, Fnatic is going to be able to get a big shutdown there onto Vex. Overall, man, an ace, and only Dawnbray went down.
Man, this is tough. 100 Next, they get everything on the map, Jolly. The ace, the soul, and they're going to walk away with the Baron too. This is what breaks the game wide open in their favor here. This is where Winthrop are truly in trouble and in a potentially unrecoverable scenario here, as now they get the soul. They're going to grab this final objective here, and man, the replay of that fight, I think, is probably going to be the most heartbreaking thing, just because of how much damage Mahbud ended up tanking up. And it didn't seem like he was in a position to actually pop that gray health. And because of it, his tankiness wasn't as valuable.
Right? You have to absorb that shielding. You have to absorb that gray health to actually turn it into legitimate health. And we can see that damage onto Vex, I think, was a big part here, where Dawnbray said, yeah, let's go in for this. We know Tom Kench is looking for the fight, but let's be the ones to turn it.
Yeah, and it was just done so very well. I actually think 100 Next perfectly layered the CC so that Tom Kench could never actually pop that gray health and get the shield here. It was the dredge line, it was the yellow card, it was the W from the Viego, it was the death charge, it was everything, just one after another, and they managed to take him down without any real damage coming their way, so the rest of the fight became very easy.
Uh-oh, here's
They're
another
doing it
one.
again.
Another up. Oh, it was actually absorbed this time, but it doesn't really make a difference because
No.
the damage comes through. So Mabud goes down. That's 47 seconds of gray screen right there.
That's a very, very long time for Mabud to be off of the map here, and it just means 100 Next going to continue taking these outer towers and stacking more gold in their favor. Just like that, in about a minute and a half's time, they get a 6,000 gold lead, and Donbray, he's at this point, he can just start looking. The rest of the team, 100 Next, are going to be able to rip apart whoever he manages to grab here.
Donbray finally able to stack a couple of other items. We can see that the depth charge was picked up here by Ivano. Maybe looking for an opportunity to apply a little bit of crowd control themselves. Give Vex an opening to apply some solid damage, but you've already got Kenji very, very low. Array takes a nice little pop there from the Mystic Shot. In the meantime, we can see Sniper is utilizing these Baron minions to get some pressure on the mid side. Ivano, the only one to respond to that because you have to keep focus on where Array, Insanity, and Fnatic are at. Donbray gets jumped in on the Wild Growth. Applied right there.
Oh, they're too far.
Root onto Mordio. They split themselves up. Maba taking a lot of damage once more, able to absorb that health, but what can be done? Absolutely nothing after that. It's going to be Donbray that picks up the kill. A double kill there with a beautiful ultimate here. Available still. Array just using the flash to get into that fight, and this might spell the end of the game right here for Winthrop University beatdown.
Oh, Mordio, he tried to find the angle, but the team wasn't able to help him. The TP on that final minion means this is going to be it for game one. Only 2 members left, Jolly, but what can they do?
Basically nothing. We see Sniper even engaging on that one. Ivano is going to go to the gold card, so it doesn't come through. Array with the attempt at getting that ultimate down a little bit too late as the damage was already applied. Sure, you know what? You're going to get a couple of pickups, but what is that going to do for you? Mordio has an opportunity here. Insanity very, very low, but it won't be enough. 100 Thieves Next, after losing in gold through the first 3 quarters of that match, turned things in their favor. One single fight, sometimes that's all it takes, beatdown.
I think this was a really intense and very tight game one. You got to give a lot of credit to Winthrop. They knew exactly how they needed to play this game, and you could see what they planned in the early minutes and also stuff they had to decide on the fly, and I think both were excellent coming out from them. But ultimately, 100 Next every time managed to find a good fight to win their way in. Sometimes it's Winthrop overstepping just a little bit and allowing these ways back in, and sometimes it's 100 Next forcing them. I mean, I think about that fight that got them the soul and the Baron as well, and I think that's when we finally knew it was over. I think until that moment, it was pretty much anybody's game here, but the team fighting, the way 100 Next coordinated there to remove Mabud before he could actually even do anything was insane.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, that was the front line, right? That was the ability
Yes.
for the rest of the team to initiate there. And when you got somebody like Mordio, who sure is a jacked up Lee Sin, you've got Silas there, who has had quite a few kills, you still are at an opportunity where if Donbray gets the dredge line onto you, applies the passive, that's enough time for Array to follow that up. So we're going to have to see how things play out. Of course, this is a best of 3, and it is going to be side selection by the losing team in Winthrop here. They've got the decision whether they want to do that first pick or want to maybe get a little bit, a couple of counters before we head to break. Hey, you know what? If you're looking to upgrade your gamer gear, look no further. You can start your 2022 op right with the official Unified Esports merchandise brought to you by Skulls. There's hoodies, there's joggers, there's jerseys, there's armbands. There's a lot more that is also coming soon. Hey, you got the skill. Now get the swag. It's Skulls, SKULLZ.com/collections/Unify. That's going to have everything that you need. So gear up. Game on with Skulls. And with that, we will be right back after a very quick break, going over to the analyst desk to break down game number 1.